Today, our guest is the incredible Austin Young, an artist, photographer, and co-founder of Falling Fruit, whose work dissolves boundaries between art, community, and nature. Austin's creations transform everyday spaces into sanctuaries of connection and beauty. Austin, thank you so much for being here at Decoding the Flow podcast, where we open conversations about creative consciousness and beauty. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for asking me to talk.
Absolutely. So much of your work feels like an offering, a dialogue with nature, people, and spirits. Do you see your creative process as a spiritual practice?
I mean, thanks for noticing. Yeah, I consider my work to be absolutely an offering that I like to think I'm just opening myself up to the divine of creation and trying to get out of the way as much as possible so that I can consciously create beauty that I know because I'm fortunate as an artist that people will experience because I'm working in these spaces that are often public.
Would you like to share more and describe a little bit of your work because you have this amazing, incredible art installations and also through photography and filmmaker. I would love for you to explain a little bit about your creative process so people can understand and connect the dots with the spiritual world and what you're trying to convey.
Yeah, I don't think that, I mean, a lot of my work is so different. It would be hard to describe how it connects or what is my process. But I would say a lot of it is it's just a personal journey of life and expressing what I felt was real for me. My practice has become more and more conscious and I've understood it more that it is about currently creating a space for a spiritual connection and a way for people to experience a kind of beauty but I think I would say that fallen fruit was a really big part of that development because we started at such a pure purpose, which was to create a way to share with community in public spaces in urban areas. And and it was very purposeful in the idea that it was for everybody and no one is excluded. And to really, our artwork was about how we all connect and ways we all can connect and really not about how we don't connect, not leaving any space for people not getting along. So we started this in 2004 and we were really conscious about that idea. And it's interesting because it started through, there was three of us at the time, T.S. Wegener and David Burns and I, and it was a call for a project in a journal called the Journal of Aesthetics and Protests. I'll try to make this a little brief, but the interesting thing about the call for artworks for this issue of the magazine was that they're asking for projects that looked like activism, but weren't against anything. So I mean, I think it's such a beautiful idea and it just becomes even more and more relevant as time goes on because we cannot, we could be, let's just say like you could react to whatever's happening in the world and react from an emotional basis of anger and frustration and shock and this kind of thing. But to choose, like, the idea is that we're not even entering that space, and I think it's one way to get past what's happening in the present moment.
I just want to connect because the whole idea of coding the flow and creative consciousness is exactly what you're saying when we realized that we are here to create life, not to react to life. So I want to bridge that because it's definitely one of the best ways I find that we can start realizing that and bringing beauty into the world, which brings order, I believe. So if you step in a monument of art, like your art installation, for example, there is no way that you're not going to be in that exactly present moment in awe, which I think we all need this. we all need to enjoy the present moment, to take that deep breath and such an awe of the beauty of this moment. And that's what art and your art, I feel like in any beauty creation can do to us. So thank you for sharing that. And
Thank
now
you.
I'm curious. Let's go back to Falling Fruit because it's your organization that you founded in 2004, you said. And I would love to know for you to explain exactly what Falling Fruit is. I know we may have changed since you guys started, but what inspired the focus on fruit as a medium of connection?
Well, yeah. So, it's really also about the relationship of the three of us who started it. We all, had lots of fruit trees in our yards, and knew of some fruit trees in our neighborhood because we all lived in the same neighborhood in Los Angeles. And
Mhm.
so that was really the starting point. But then quickly realizing I don't even know really the timeline, but then we quickly realized that fruit is something that we we all share in common, and that from it doesn't matter how rich or poor or old or young or whatever you are, we are all the experts in the flavor of a banana or a strawberry. So it became this clear thing that we knew that we could all share as human beings, and to focus on that thing, which we began the project by mapping fruit that existed in public space or the margins of public space. And then, eventually this is a long project that's in the moment. So of course it changed and transformed, but we began planting fruit. Then we began planting fruit trees as artworks, in public spaces, and started also aesthetic museum practice that aligned with the ideas of those original artworks which were actually which uh, in the beginning, the only reason aesthetics was involved was really to attract people to the project because there was no object making, you know.
Mm.
So the artwork has come to a place now where David Burns and I are sometimes making more just purely aesthetic spaces, um, understanding we're creating a space of awe and joy, and a place to change how you feel when you enter that space.
It's
And
amazing.
yeah, so I'm still also planting fruit trees and doing other artworks, which, we stem from a public participatory practice. So we still also do those projects as well. And of course, I do solo work as well.
It's beautiful. And you describe your spaces as radical sanctuaries of beauty, which I agree, by the way. So, what does beauty mean to you?
Oh, it's really, what does beauty mean to me? I mean, I guess I think of it in spiritual terms. I don't really see it as the way that Instagram might view beauty, you
Mm.
know, or the beauty of a person, even though it is that also. But
Yeah,
it's this kind of a truth. To me, it's like a universal truth that we all share and we all know it when we see it
oh
and
my
feel it.
gosh.
It's just something that's like, maybe it's unknowable and we can try to achieve it. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, it's totally the way I think. I think beauty is an universal language that we can all connect. It is the truth and it brings order. It does bring order to the mind. I mean, you can see throughout your space if something is ugly and you don't even feel comfortable looking at, right? It's
Yeah.
incredible. What
Mm.
kind of practices or rituals that you have, and if you would like to share, to help you stay aligned with your creative energy?
Hmm. I'm making art all the time, and so I have my workspace itself I'm lucky enough that it's in like my garden area. I'm lucky enough to be in a place that's already, touching on those ideas. So, but also I definitely do, prayer and meditation every morning, and I a lot of that is about gratitude. It's like the human mind is so is so, and mine is probably no different or really extreme. It's just like I'm always going to the negative of everything. So it's just I do so much to try to to stay out of that space, even though it's really, really difficult, you know. But when I'm working, it's such a blessing to be an artist because I can get into the flow of my practice,
Hmm.
and and then it's like that becomes everything, you know. So my mind can just like go away, hopefully. Well, and then you know, it's a lot of times what I'm doing is really complex, and I think sometimes like I'm not even smart enough to come up with that. Like I just try to let it come out, you know, and surprise myself. I'm always like looking to surprise and let that.
But you know that when you kind of force ourselves to go a little bit beyond of what we know, that's an actual perfect flow activation because you're stretching yourself to do maybe doing the same thing in a different way or doing something a little bit harder that you think you're capable of. This is one of like the flow triggers that can get you into that moment when you lose track of time. So thank you for sharing that. Perfect for decoding the flow.
Yeah, I mean, what else is there when you're making art? For me, it's the most important thing because I would say I cannot try to make art. You know,
What do you have in mind when you want to get into that flow of creation?
that's interesting. I mean, I think it's almost about like doing all the details and having all my tools that I use and having palette of things ready to go and
Mm.
as a starting point. So maybe that's what I can put my other brain into is those kind of things and like measurements and the
So, from what I'm getting, what you said, even the process of art, that's your ritual, right? That's your ritual when you have like your tools, when you have your like your space, when you know like now is the time to create. That's part of the beauty then. Amazing. I love that.
yeah.
So if you could whisper one message to future generations, what would you say?
If I could whisper a message based on my experiences to future generations of artists or people,
Anyone?
okay, I don't think that life changes or that human beings change. That if we to beauty, we're tapping into the eternal nature of what it means to be human.
Mm. How would you describe art? What is art for you?
Art for me, it's a powerful meditation. It's a way to connect with the divine or whatever you want to call it outside of that. So absolutely functions as a tool to do that.
Okay.
You could connect with anything. You could connect with darkness or light or whatever you choose, you know. So it might not be that you want to connect with beauty and
Maybe
but
you want to put your shadow out and it's okay.
yeah,
It's still beautiful.
that's right. That's right.
Tell us where people can see your art, where they can find you or your art installations. I know you have one in Europe going on right now. So please share where people can find you or how can they look at your work and get involved with Falling Fruit.
Fallen Fruits Instagram is at fallen_fruit, and my personal one is at Austin Young Forever. And that's like the thing that that's the two areas that I'm probably most active on. But then you could also find basic information on our websites, fallenfruit.org or austinyoung.com. And uh, David Burns and I have a few permanent artworks around the US and also in Rome. We have one.
If you're watching this interview, you have to look it up, and I will definitely add all of your informations on the show notes as well. It's absolute stunning. Thank you for sharing your work. I have one more question. How do you imagine the next evolution of your art? Where do you think it's going?
Like really like collaboration and performance. So it would be, I'd like to create space that it can involve performance and always and also continue the idea that that is about community and creating space for people, but becoming a little more like, you know, like I'm not necessarily a musician, but I think art, like visual art, is only one aspect of the incredible palette of what
Yeah.
creativity is.
Absolutely. I mean, if you really think about it, everything that we do, it's a creative act, right? We're just so used to just see art as visual art or music or performance, dance, culinary, but everything is a creative act.
That's right.
We look deep within everything, the way that you dress yourself, the way that you put your food on a plate, everything, because it's so unique. We all have different interpretations and different ways
That's right.
of doing it. So it's all creative. I
I
also
don't
would like to
necessarily
share.
want to see AI version. It's so disconnected from the human
What do
experience.
you think about AI? It's a great question. I would love to hear your opinion on AI. Do you think it's going to help the art made by human become more valuable? That's the way I see it, but I want to hear your take on it.
I don't like the aesthetics of AI, but I think it's like an incredible tool for maybe like improving your skills at
Hmm.
the way you do something. I don't know, like I have so many friends who are so anti AI and won't even use it because of the pollution aspect,
Mm,
and which I think is important to think about. But yeah, obviously it's gonna change like the medical industry, every industry is going to
the
uh,
impact.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know what to think. It's so surreal. I think that's why I think at a time like when it seems like a time of such incredible change that is feels unfathomable. So I think for me personally, it's just a time to make sure you're connected with yourself and
Ah,
your own practice or
oh,
meditation
this
or
is
whatever
so
that is.
important.
It's more important than ever. Then that's what I think about AI because it's like it's the only way that I can feel like I could find my way through it.
This is so important. I'm so glad that you're saying that because people usually we can go day by day focusing on politics and everything that is going on and live on this fear paradigm. But we
That's right.
cannot forget that our consciousness, we are in control of what we focus on. So what you said is exactly that, like focus on yourself. Like what can you do to step away from that fear paradigm and start
Yeah.
creating things that will actually help you, which will affect everyone around you.
Absolutely. And I don't and I want to be removed from the conversation about things like AI and politics completely because I think it's something that you absolutely the human brain just goes immediately to that fear paradigm and
Mm.
mine does.
Like for me, toward the beginning, I was like, what if, like, there's no way I can avoid AI, like, none of
Right.
us. So we can either work with it or we can completely be against of it. And everything that you are against it, that you resist, persists. So you might as well learn and trying to see the positive aspect of it. And how can I make that work for me? But of course,
Yeah.
I'm not denying all the negative aspects, but I'm trying to choose to focus on the positive or how I can make this work for me or for my life going forward.
Yeah. Yep. I think so. I use it as a tool and to figure out things I don't know how to
Mm,
do, like basic weird stuff. Like
totally. Everything now is like, okay, how can I do? And then you can ask like step by step of doing things that would probably take you like an entire month figuring out.
or you'd have to pay somebody else to do. And it's
You
like,
pay somebody else to do, but also another thing I would like to add, we always have to keep our critical mind, even working with AI, they do can make mistakes. So you have to still focus on your own creativity and value your own, sense of knowing more than AI itself. Because you're
weird
like, okay,
stuff.
let me think about that.
Like I was just thinking about, I mean, I don't even, some I know so many people are so anti AI and anti using it. I don't even feel really comfortable talking about it because like I'll tell a friend. I have a friend he was like having issues at work, and I'm like thinking, if you asked AI, it could help you figure out this issue you're having and make you better at your job. And then I told him that, and he's like, I'm never using AI to do that. And he has a list of reasons why, and it's like I agree with every one of his reasons. So it's a really divisive, right? Like
It is,
it's
but it was always been that way.
yeah.
Remember when Uber came about and the taxis, they were all like completely against it. When it's something so big, it's changing the entire way that we see things.
Yeah.
No way. Like, what is going to change unless if you really try to make it work for you? I mean,
I had
maybe
an
it will take a little bit more time for that, for those people who are completely against. But remember when we didn't have cell phones, and like from the regular telephones, with the cable, and then when cell phone came about, like how can we go against something that it is already happening? There's no way of going back. We just need a little bit more time and more information to digest and try
yeah.
to focus and work with it, the information.
And what kinds of things, and to understand what kind of things it can actually help you with, I think that is the really key part of
Mm,
that. It's like, you know, it can't help me make a better visual aesthetic for myself. It absolutely not.
mm,
But it could help me figure out like the mathematics of if I wanted to, create a human body
yeah,
and figure out the length of the arms in a space, then it could probably do that for me because it would
yeah.
have all those mathematics at its fingertips, or, if you were any kind of business person anywhere, it could help improve
I
your
think what is going to make the difference is the people who learn to work with it to become better at themselves, they use as a tool, simply as that, that can help them come up with new ideas, figure out problems, and work with it as a tool. So that's what's going to make a difference going forward with someone who have no idea how to use AI. I think we can always learn how to make better use of it.
think so too.
Austin, thank you so much. That has been such a beautiful conversation. Thank you for bringing your light to Decoding the Flow. I can really feel how your art activated something like beyond visuals. Thank you so much. And I'm going to make sure to post everything on the show notes so people can look you up and see all of your beautiful creations. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, appreciate your time and love the concept of your show. So thank you.
Thank you. Creative consciousness. I love it.